And if you don't want to, you totally don't have to, but go to a coffee shop, that's a good one. And if you're done and you feel like you've added what you want to, just give me a thumbs up so we can go ahead and get started. So Nora's ready to go, Kelsey's ready to go, Becky's ready to go, Joni's ready to go. All right, awesome. So thanks so much for being here today, guys. I really appreciate it. So again, our webinar is building brighter futures together, engaging social and emotional learning activities for K through 2 learners, but I also kind of opened it up to K through 5 learners as well. Our objective for today is going to be that learners will be able to identify ways to incorporate the 3 components of social emotional learning in their classroom by identifying strategies for each component of social emotional learning. And so really my goal for today is I know that some of us are classroom teachers, some of us are not classroom teachers. So really this can be applicable to even your own life, if you're a parent helping your child at home. And I think we'll hit on it during the webinar too, but even just adults to practice for themselves. And then I guess a disclaimer is I do not consider myself an expert in this topic at all. It's something that I really am just kind of trying out, and I really wanted to create a discourse in collaboration together as peers to just help support kids and be able to manage any emotions that they have. A little bit about me. I have taught in Aurora Public Schools for 13 years. I'm currently a 2nd grade teacher in Aurora Public Schools. I am like a Pappy Poo, like lover. I have their Papillon Poodle mixes, like my favorite, like my loves. So I talk about them all the time. But yeah, like I said, this year, like I've been really intentional about implementing social emotional learning within my classroom. My district took out an entire social emotional block and said, go ahead and embed it. Well, I really had to really dive into like what that means for me as a teacher. And I'm sure parents, educators, all in whatever field you're teaching can apply this to their own world. So just to get started, I want you guys to think, why do you guys think social emotional learning is important? So in the slides, which I think, does everyone have the slides? Thumbs up if you do have the slides. You'll click on this one right here. It'll open up a Slido and just go ahead and tell me, what do you think? Why is social emotional learning important? So I have some of the feedback from my practice friends, and someone said empathy, being a spiritual gangster, navigating big feelings, needing to express feelings. Awesome. Having empathy, positive environment. Yeah, definitely. Being a good friend. Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to be a good friend sometimes and know how to be friends. Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. So I think we have a really good understanding of the why. But again, I kind of want to give us more context into the how. But broadly, when we think about social emotional learning, what we're really thinking about is being able to, it's a process through which individuals learn, apply a set of social emotional related skills, attitudes, behaviors, and values that direct students. So these could be thoughts, feelings, and actions that help them be able to succeed in school. There are actually only, I found this out in the process of creating this webinar, that there's only 3 states that have fully designated sets of standards. It's Illinois, Florida, and Kentucky. So I've actually found that pretty interesting to see that there's so few states that have it. There are standards out there, but I just don't think teachers know that they exist. Um, there's actually a big, we'll hit on this at the end of the webinar, but it's been shown to actually help with teachers as well. When teachers teach these skills to students, they're actually more likely to apply it in their own lives. So for example, if you're teaching about like self-care, some of those teachers are going to go home and practice those self-care. Or if you are struggling with communication with somebody, they'll take that into their work or even relationships at home to help them with that. So it's actually proven to help adults, because it's actually been proven that a lot of older generations were just not even taught the skills. And so I think that's where there's a big gap, is because a lot of us in older generations were just not taught some of these skills. We were told to be good friends, or we were told to be happy, but we weren't really told how to do that. I just have a short clip to get us started, and then we'll hop into most of our learning for today.
There's a lot of talk these days about SEL, social emotional learning. But what exactly is it? Social emotional learning is the process of learning social and emotional skills, and it's just as important as learning reading or math. This learning process is most effective when it begins early and continues through high school. Social emotional skills are essential for success in school, work, and life. With SEL, students learn to manage their own emotions and behaviors, have empathy and show care and concern for others, solve problems effectively, make responsible decisions, and maintain healthy relationships. Students learn to recognize what's happening inside them and to be aware of their emotions, which helps them deal with strong emotions and impulsive behaviors. It helps them stop, take a breath, and think about a situation before acting. Students learn to identify others' emotions and perspectives, which helps them empathize and show compassion, no matter who they are or what their background is. It's not difficult to imagine how this is important in the classroom and in life. Students learn to solve problems in peaceful ways and communicate assertively about what they need or want. This helps them get along with other students and get the help they need from adults. When students learn to make responsible decisions about their lives and their future, things can turn out better. Research shows social emotional learning makes a difference. Students who participate in SEL do better academically, have improved attitudes and behaviors, and act in delinquent or disruptive ways less often. In the United States, students with strong social emotional competence are twice as likely to earn a college degree and nearly 50% more likely to graduate from high school and have a full-time job by age 25. Just as important, students who are socially and emotionally competent have more friends. This means they're more likely to feel connected to school and do well, and less likely to be left out or bullied. Simply put, by participating in social emotional learning, students learn the skills to succeed in every facet of school and the rest of their lives.
So now that we've talked a little bit about the why, we're going to jump into the how. So there are 5 components of social emotional learning. The first component is self-awareness, which is helping children recognize and understand their own emotions and strengths. Self-management is the second one, which is teaching strategies to regulate emotions, and set goals and develop self-discipline. The next one is social awareness, which is promoting empathy and understanding perspectives and feelings. The next one is relationship skills, which is teaching communication, cooperation, and conflict resolutions to build and maintain healthy relationships. And the last one is responsible decision making, which is helping children learn how to make thoughtful choices by considering consequences and taking into ethical considerations. So we're going to dive into a little bit of independent work. So what I created here was a doc full of different resources that teachers or even parents can use to help implement this in whatever setting makes sense for them. What I was gonna have us do is have each of us pick a uh, component that we want to dive into, and if there's something we really want to do, I just want each of us to take one component. If we don't care, I can do a random selector. Is there anyone that wants to focus on a component themselves before we jump in, or I assign? Is there anything that anybody really wants to dive in or explore more? No? Okay. So I have a random selector, or I did, and it looks like I closed it down. So shoot, hold on. So I will just go ahead and randomly select myself. I had it like on a wheel and everything, but unfortunately I closed it down. So, Nora, are you okay doing self-awareness? Okay. And then we'll go into what you're supposed to do when we do it. Sorry, I kind of skipped over that. Kelsey, are you okay with doing self-management? Joni, are you okay with doing social awareness? Becky, are you okay with doing relationship skills? And then I will do responsible decision making. And what we'll do is under each category, there are, like I said, all these resources that you can click and explore. And you don't have to, by any means, explore all of them. Pick one that seems the most interesting to you. But once you've explored with that, you will go into this Padlet. And for each topic, there are, oops, that's not spelled right. There are a category for each component. And so underneath it, you'll put any strategies or any just learnings that you learned from it. So like the other night, I did a practice run and someone put this under self-management. If there's something that has worked for you and it's not in there, feel free to add in what you already know. If you want to hop into another one and say like, hey, I'm focusing on this, but I know this, by all means, feel free to do that. I really just want to create a document where we can all stay connected and also just have this huge toolbox that we can take back and apply into whatever environment we're going to use these in. Does that make sense? Are there any questions about that? All right, so I'll give us 10 minutes to get that done, but if by any chance like we're really done and we're early, just feel free to let me know that you're done and we can wrap up early. But go ahead and get started. Sorry, guys. We have about 4 minutes left, so if you need more time, keep working. Sorry. So we have about 2 minutes left, but take your time, no rush. The timer just got a little wonky with me sharing. Sorry. But I'm seeing some really great reflections on here already. Yeah, definitely. I love like linking parents into it. That's awesome. Maybe take about 1 more minute to finish up what you're writing so we can move into our next part. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I saw the me tree when I was pulling these together. That looked really cool. Role playing, that's awesome. Yeah, we have a great list already, guys. That's awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and have us come back just for time's sake. But this Padlet will be up even after we're done. So if there's more that you want to add to it, feel free. So now, what I was thinking we could do is we'll do tag. And so what I'll do is I will call one person to share like what they learned under their component. Then what they'll do is they'll tag another person. So like, for example, if I start with Kelsey will tag maybe Nora or Becky, and they'll share what they learned under their component. So I will start first. I'll go first. So my strategy was responsible decision making. And sorry. And so what I really found underneath that is it's really giving them options to really think through the choices. If we make the choices for them, then they really don't have practice in making those responsible decisions. And then also having them really think like, what is the safest choice? And then also there was some really cool visuals underneath there. So like really making like list of choices that they can make to help them with that. There was a chart called Think Before You Speak, which I thought was really cool. So I'm going to tag Nora because she just looks like she's ready to go. So Nora, do you want to share what you learned under your component?
Yeah, and first of all, this is also Starbuck who will be joining us apparently for this piece. But yeah, so as I was listing out some of these strategies from some of the websites, actually, one of the things I really learned was how so many of these things like journaling and positive affirmations, like it's the exact same things that are suggested for adults with mindfulness. So I think it kind of was that thread of starting it early can be useful strategies for when people are older. So I think that's kind of what I really took away from that piece.
I think also too, like I like that because one thing I found too is like adults modeling for that.
Yeah.
Them like, hey, we're gonna have like a journaling time together. Even like teachers like, hey, I journal and I tell my kids all the time about that. So I think that's really important to model for that too, like what that looks like for them.
And
Awesome.
I will go ahead and tag Kelsey.
Awesome.
Okay, if you can't hear me, sorry, my Wi-Fi is out at home, so I'm at a coffee shop. So if you hear background music, it's not me. So I had self-management. And so what I learned here was about how students kind of take their learning into their own hands and how they can become self-reliant and independent. And so an example I was thinking through as I was reading this was like, oh, I think I've done something like this. So at the beginning of each year, I'd have one of those butcher papers, big pieces of paper. I'd write down, we'd come up with rules together, and we'd write them down, and then I'd have every student sign it, and we would refer to it if a student wasn't following the agreement or was doing something that was not okay. And so that kind of helped them realize that they had a part in deciding what kept the classroom safe and a good learning experience. So I liked how it kind of tied into that. And
Awesome.
I'll go
Yeah.
and I'll tag Becky.
Sounds good. So I had relationship skills, and I thought that was really interesting, about how incorporating projects and group work and the things that happen day to day in the students, not just when they're learning, but the entire day in school, to connect that with what they're learning in order to improve their ability to communicate with each other. So I thought that was awesome. I really liked when they talked about like role playing or using an experience that's happening and talking about what was going on in order to encourage better conflict resolution in the future and improving communication skills. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And
Thank you.
I will pass it on to Joni.
Hello, I had social awareness, and I think that the the one article that I was primarily looking at had two sections, one that was for educators and then the other section was for families. And what that pointed out to me was that idea that for social emotional work, that it can't be just a one-off experience, that it has to be something that's ongoing, that is always part of our day-to-day work in the classroom as well as at home, in order to actually lead to beneficial changes and ways of thinking. And so I appreciated that article because that was sort of a big takeaway, is that it's not just going to happen in a day. It has to be ongoing, with some good focus.
That was awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for being so like intentional and thoughtful with that. I really appreciate you guys diving into that, and your insight was just awesome. So that kind of leads me to our call of action. So the Padlet that I created will be there for all of us to continue to collaborate and work together. So my hope is that you can take this into whatever environment you're hoping to take it into and try it out. And as you try it out, what's really cool about Padlet, and I've learned to really appreciate Padlet, is that like you can take videos, you can take photos, you can take audio recordings, and those are all things that we could use to help each other just stay connected because we're all working together to build this just better world for every kid, right? So you know, I would love to see if you guys can add to that and continue to work on that. I do just want to leave you with one more thought, which I think kind of brings us back to the importance of just us as adults really modeling and understanding these. And then we'll be done and I'll send you guys off on your way on this beautiful day. So Sorry. Thanks so much for attending today, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll just have one final check-in as you guys head out. This is kind of my compass activity. So basically you'll do like each direction on the compass. And so the first question is what excites you about a learning today? What do you find worrisome? What do you need to know? What is a stance moving forward? And then just rating how helpful you found it. If there's anything that you need or any feedback, I'd love to get the feedback from you guys. So that's all I have for you guys today. I really appreciate you guys coming. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.